I'm going to invite a couple of our regional mentors to the stage. So Kevin Huang, right here. He's a co-founder of and executive director of the Hua Foundation. He also just came here from a Hong Kong protest, and he engages the Chinese-Canadian community, especially on sustainability, including food systems. Yeah. Kevin.
Thanks for having me. Good evening, everybody. Yes, I did just come from that, so excuse me for reading off my phone because I was writing it back there just now. My name is Kevin Huang. I'm one of the co-founders and current executive director of an organization called Hua Foundation. Our projects in the past 10 years have ranged from consumer-based shark conservation strategies under a project called Shark Truth to the Choi Project, where we're looking into how we can bring more local and sustainable foods onto a Chinese dinner table. The Choi Project is still ongoing as we embark on the new project called Race and Equity, where we're looking at how race plays out and impacts systems and sectors such as the media. Come on, the past couple months has been pretty rough, right? Our democratic systems, workplaces, and social movements such as the environment. So on the environmental front, the Black, Indigenous, and people of color continues to be disproportionately impacted by the climate emergency. So even for me as an executive director, it's kind of hard for me to succinctly describe what we do as an organization because we've always been balancing the push for advocacy and systems change while responding to the needs and emerging issues within our own community. And I'm definitely way into responding to community needs right now. That's why I'm wearing a face mask because I'm showing solidarity with Hong Kong, where as of 2 days ago, the pro-Beijing government enacted a colonial-era emergency regular ordinance to pass this anti-mask ban without a vote through their legislature. This means that people in Hong Kong cannot show up to protest wearing a mask to protect their identity. And note that this is an era of political terror where political dissidents through state surveillance have arrested over 2,500 people to date. This is all within the past 18 weeks. And one day, one of the biggest mass rallies actually had 2 million people show up to try and repeal the extradition law. So sit with that. 2 million, which is 25% of Hong Kong's population showing up for something they believe in. And yet, going into the 18th week as of tomorrow, nothing has changed. And the police brutality and crackdown continues. So I think that as it really breaks my heart to see that the front lines of social movements, including the climate, including what we're seeing in Hong Kong, is led by young people. So I believe that we have to talk about governments as a society structure and how we can think about governments as ways to make them strengthen the governments to serve us even more. So while we're seeing the rapid erosion of Hong Kong democracy in Hong Kong, we should also look into how to further strengthen our own democracy here. So I would say by lowering the voting age, instituting a proportional representation to replace first past the post, our individual voice matters. Our individual actions matter. Let's make sure that we have systems and structures where voices and actions actually count. So for the climate, for a stronger democracy, and for Hong Kong, who wants a future where they have freedoms and democracy. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to bring up Marisa Bergeron, who's the founder of Eat the Dishes, and she's going to tell us about her Lighter Living initiative.
So who else's eco-anxiety is through the roof right now? Mine certainly is. So I'm Marissa Bergeron. I'm the founder of Eat the Dishes, as you can see right there. We are Vancouver's first zero-waste, plant-based street food. So basically, a little tiny background about me. I was working for the aviation industry, one of the most wasteful industries for the last 8 years prior to launching this. I lived in Dubai. I flew to all 5 continents. I enjoyed street food tremendously in all 5. And unfortunately, I saw a common theme amongst each continent. That was waste. So every time I would buy something from a food vendor, they'd give it to me in styrofoam, plastic, etc. And so I knew that something had to change. I looked within myself. I realized my lifestyle was not aligning to what I wanted to do. And I thought I could do something within the street food industry to really shift it. So basically, I moved back to Vancouver. I launched Eat the Dishes. You can eat the entire dish. Even the napkin that we give you, because we didn't want to give any single-use items, even the napkin, we use upcycled fabric, and we make our own napkins to give to the consumer and also to encourage people to reuse rather than just throw out 5 minutes after they've eaten their meal. We also tackle food waste, so we buy bumped and bruised produce, ugly produce that people don't normally buy. Normally that ends up in the landfill, and we turn it into soups. And then I really, really think that sustainability, like some of the speakers have mentioned, it starts on your plate. So that's why we're 100% vegan as well. One single burger is equivalent to 660 gallons of water being used. So that's why I really encourage everybody, if you want resources, to shift towards a vegan diet. And so reach out to me if you'd like some recipes, etc. Thanks very much.
Thank you. And so we have two other regional actors. Patrick Nangle, you are the CEO of Modo, which is an alternative to car ownership, and it's for car sharing, and it's a cooperative model. So could you tell us a little more about it, Patrick?
Yes, with pleasure, and thank you, Vanessa, for the opportunity, and good evening, everybody. So I choose to be an optimist. I wanted to start with that. I make a difference. I tried to make a difference in my personal life, but I wanted to make an impact at scale, and that's why I joined Modo Cooperative almost exactly 3 years ago. So what is Modo? In case anybody doesn't know, we're a cooperative, one member, one vote, that provides car sharing. 20,000 plus members, 700 cars. It is sharing economy in the truest sense of that expression. I know the term has been co-opted by quite a number of other players out there in the market. So these individuals co-own these cars, and we provide a platform that allows them to take turns using them and pay their fair share of the cost. We do that in a way that we try to be as affordable as possible. I like to characterize us as a not for loss. So we're working just to keep our nose above water and keep the prices and the costs as low as possible. Are we in the car rental business? No. We advocate to our members, walk, ride your bike, use transit as first choices. If you must use a car, and sometimes people want to use a vehicle, use a shared vehicle. And so we make quite a wide variety of vehicles available, cargo vans and pickup trucks and small cars and passenger vans and regular sedans. The idea being match the vehicle to the purpose of the trip. So when you need a car, use a shared car. There are today 3,000 shared cars in Metro Vancouver and close surrounding, 3,000 shared cars. Those shared cars have roughly replaced on a 1 to 10 basis privately owned vehicles. So 3,000 cars replaced 30,000 vehicles. We're kind of have a reputation as being the car sharing capital of North America and pretty highly ranked in the world. Frankly, that doesn't matter a hill of beans to me. We have a population in Metro Vancouver of 2.5 million people. There are 1.6 million privately owned vehicles. So 2 cars for every 3 people. So think about 1.6 million cars compared to 30,000, right? Drop in the bucket. Vancouver's a wonderful place to live. We're expecting another 1 million people here over the course of the next 2 decades. If they bring cars in the same ratio, that's another 600,000 or 700,000 cars that are going to hit our streets. You know, if you think we have gridlock today, you haven't seen anything yet. So we're trying to make a difference. We think this is a really interesting approach. We work on things like transitioning the fleet as fast as we can to zero-emission vehicles. We just invested into hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. We're moving the fleet to battery electric and plug-in hybrid. We can't do it alone. We partner with people like Transit. Transit is the juice to make shared mobility work and a lighter living approach around transportation. We work with all the municipalities. Could go faster, frankly, but there's a lot that we can't do it by ourselves. Partnership is really important to us. The last thing I'll mention around partnership, 2 things. One, we have a pilot in place with TransLink and UBC, which has created something brand new. It's a hybrid between carpooling and car sharing, which is very cool. It's in pilot right now. And we have another mobility platform in development that's a partnership with TransLink and Evo and Mobi and Modo that will create something around shared mobility that we think will be really helpful. Thank you.
Great. And Irina McKenzie from FabCycle. So you're the founder of FabCycle, but you're also the founder and executive director of Frameworks, so education societies. So could you tell us about those?
Absolutely. Thank you, Vanessa. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. So my name is Irina, and in the keyword, it's textile waste. That's my realm of work. So I have two projects. I'm the founder of Framework Education Society, and we operate community repair events all over Metro Vancouver and outside. The way it works is that we bring sewing machines, sewing supplies to libraries, community centers, and everywhere where there's community, and we invite participants to bring their clothes to repair. So our mission is essentially to overthrow a throwaway culture, build resilient communities, bring repair skills back to life, and of course divert textile waste from the landfill. Next time you have anything to darn, to repair, please get in touch. We have Fix-Its coming up all the time. Today we had enrichment, we have in Vancouver, UBC, Abbey, and so on. The other thing is that we work a lot with industry. So FabCycle is also my business, and it's a collection service for textile waste. And we chose to work with one of the hardest textile waste streams there are, fabric scraps. Nobody really wants to work with, not clothing. And so we work directly with factories, fashion designers, schools to collect their fabric waste and to reuse or recycle their waste. We have a textile waste reuse center, particularly emphasis on the reuse word, not far from here in Chinatown, where we bring everything that is reusable, and we serve as matchmakers, essentially, between what we have, that is some beautiful fabric, scraps, notions, and to the creative community that can actually reuse it. And they also serve as the ambassadors to what actually exists as waste as a resource. And so please, if you know any creatives, any crafters, hobbyists, anybody that really understands how much textile and fabric is beautiful and valuable, get in touch. And please remember me, textile waste, anything related, I would love to connect and talk to more people about that, and repairs too. Thank you.
Thank you.